Prologue. There is a strange reason why people light candles at weddings, even though electric lights are brighter. Why expensive restaurants lower the lights instead of making everything perfectly visible. Why photographers wait for sunset instead of shooting at noon. Why filmmakers hide monsters in darkness instead of revealing them completely. And why some of our most beautiful memories seem to live inside dimly lit rooms. It almost feels irrational. After all, for thousands of years, human beings fought against darkness. We invented fire, oil lamps, candles, electricity. Entire cities now shine so brightly that the night sky itself has begun to disappear. Surely, more light should make the world more beautiful, shouldn't it? Yet something curious happened along the way. Our homes became brighter, yet somehow felt less peaceful. Our cities became clearer, yet strangely harder to remember. Our buildings became cleaner, yet somehow lost their soul. What exactly disappeared? 100 years ago, a Japanese novelist noticed this quiet transformation long before the rest of the world. While many nations celebrated brighter lights, he wondered whether humanity had accidentally illuminated something that was never meant to be fully exposed. His name was Jun'ichirō Tanizaki. In 1933, he wrote a small essay that almost no one expected to become one of Japan's greatest philosophical works. Its title was In Praise of Shadows. It was never really about darkness, nor architecture, nor ancient Japan. It was about something far more fragile, the invisible relationship between beauty and mystery, between silence and meaning, between what we can see and what we can only feel. Because perhaps the greatest works of art have never revealed everything. The most unforgettable music leave moments of silence. The most beautiful paintings leave empty spaces. The most powerful stories leave questions unanswered. And maybe life itself was never meant to be experienced beneath endless brightness. Perhaps some things become truly beautiful only when they remain partially hidden. Today, we begin a journey into a philosophy unlike any we have explored before. A journey through architecture, history, psychology, neuroscience, art, memory, and the quiet places where human beings have always searched for meaning. Because before we ask why Japan praised shadows, we must first ask a much more uncomfortable question. What if the modern world has become too bright to notice beauty anymore? Welcome to Bookbyte,
the brightest world in history. If someone from the 18th century were to walk through one of our cities today, they might believe they had entered another planet. Streets glowing long after midnight, towering buildings covered in glass, advertisements brighter than the stars, rooms where darkness never truly arrives. For the first time in human history, night has almost disappeared. For thousands of years, human life moved with the rhythm of the sun. Morning invited work, evening invited rest. Darkness was not merely the absence of light, it was part of life's natural design. People gathered around small fires. Families spoke beneath oil lamps. Stories were told slowly. Silence was expected. Then everything changed. First came gas lamps, then electricity, then fluorescent lighting.
Today, a single smartphone screen can shine brighter than an entire room lit by candles only 2 centuries ago. Humanity celebrated this victory, and understandably so. Brighter hospitals saved lives, streetlights made cities safer, homes became more comfortable, electric light became one of civilization's greatest achievements. But every achievement quietly changes the way we live, and sometimes it changes the way we feel. Modern neuroscience has revealed that light is far more than something our eyes perceive. It is one of the most powerful signals received by the brain. Specialized cells inside the retina continuously measure brightness, sending information to the brain's internal clock. This clock helps regulate sleep, attention, body temperature, hormone release, and even emotional balance. Light shapes far more than vision. It shapes experience itself. Yet there is another side to this discovery. Researchers studying environmental psychology have found that not all lighting produces the same emotional response. Soft, warm, indirect light often creates feelings of safety and relaxation, while harsh, uniform brightness can increase alertness, but also reduce the subtle visual contrasts that give spaces warmth and depth. Perhaps this explains why candlelit dinners remain romantic despite offering the least practical way to illuminate a room, or why old libraries, ancient temples, and wooden houses often feel strangely comforting even before we understand their history. Their beauty does not come only from what they reveal, it comes equally from what they gently leave unseen. This was the mystery that fascinated Jun'ichirō Tanizaki. While the modern world raced toward perfect illumination, he quietly wondered whether something precious was fading with every shadow that disappeared. Because sometimes the greatest changes in civilization are not the things we gain, they are the things we stop noticing we've lost. Before Japan chose the shadows, it would be easy to believe that Japan invented this philosophy. It didn't. What Japan did was something far more remarkable. It protected it. Long before electric lights, before modern architecture, before glowing cities, human beings across the world lived in conversation with darkness. The night sky was not hidden by skyscrapers. People knew the constellations by name. They measured seasons by the moon. They understood that darkness was not empty. It was alive. It carried the sound of insects, flowing rivers, distant footsteps, the wind moving through trees. Darkness sharpened every other sense. When vision softened, hearing became richer, smell became stronger, touch became more delicate. For thousands of years, this was simply what it meant to be human. Then Japan transformed this ordinary experience into an art. Instead of building homes that defeated darkness, they built homes that welcomed it. Paper screens softened the sunlight instead of blocking it. Deep wooden roofs allowed shadows to settle naturally across the room. Tatami floors reflected only a quiet glow. Nothing sparkled, nothing shouted for attention. Light entered gently, like a respectful guest. Jun'ichirō Tanizaki believed this was no accident. It reflected an entirely different understanding of beauty. The Western world increasingly admired clarity, sharpness, precision, the ability to reveal every detail. Traditional Japan often admired the opposite: suggestion,
softness, mystery. Because when every corner is completely illuminated, nothing remains for imagination to discover. Modern neuroscience offers an unexpected insight into this idea. The human brain is not a camera. It does not simply record reality exactly as it appears. Instead, it constantly fills in missing information. It predicts, it imagines, it completes patterns that are only partially visible. Scientists call this predictive processing. Our minds are active participants in perception, not passive observers. Perhaps this is why a mountain disappearing into morning mist often feels more beautiful than one standing beneath a clearless afternoon sky. Perhaps this is why music becomes more moving because of the silence between the notes. Perhaps this is why the face of someone we love, seen only by candlelight, can remain in memory for decades. Not because we saw every detail, but because our imagination quietly finished the picture. Tanizaki understood something that modern science would only begin to explain decades later. Beauty is not created by revealing everything. Sometimes beauty begins at the exact point where certainty ends. The house that whispered instead of shouting. To understand what Tanizaki was trying to protect, we have to step inside a traditional Japanese home. Not as tourists, not as architects, but as ordinary people. Imagine arriving just before sunset. You remove your shoes. The wooden floor gives a quiet sound beneath your feet. Outside, the evening air carries the smell of rain. Inside, almost nothing demands your attention. There are no polished marble surfaces reflecting every ray of light, no bright white ceiling, no harsh electric bulbs filling every corner. Instead, sunlight filters gently through paper shoji screens. It does not enter the room. It arrives softly, as though asking permission. The shadows are not accidents. They are part of the architecture itself. The alcove, known as the tokonoma, contains only a single scroll, perhaps one flower, perhaps a carefully chosen branch. There is empty space all around it. To someone unfamiliar with Japanese design, it may seem unfinished, but to the tea masters, the emptiness was doing something the objects themselves never could. It was teaching the eye where to rest. Tanizaki believed Western architecture often celebrated abundance, more decoration, more brightness, more visibility. Traditional Japanese architecture celebrated restraint, not because it rejected beauty, but because it trusted beauty enough to leave it undisturbed. Modern cognitive science suggests this intuition was remarkably accurate. The human visual system is constantly deciding what deserves attention. Every color, every reflection, every object competes for limited mental resources. The more competition exists, the harder the brain must work simply to process the environment. Researchers sometimes describe this as visual complexity. When visual complexity becomes excessive, mental fatigue quietly increases. But environments with fewer competing elements often allow attention to settle more naturally. This does not mean empty spaces are automatically beautiful. It means the mind finally has room to notice. Perhaps this explains why entering an old temple or a quiet wooden library often feels strangely calming before a single word is spoken.
Nothing magical has happened. The environment has simply stopped asking the brain to fight for every moment of attention. Tanizaki was never arguing against progress. He was asking a quieter question. If a building can shape the way we think, what kind of minds are we designing when every room is built to eliminate every shadow? Because perhaps a house is never just a place where people live. It is also a place where the human mind quietly learns how to see the world.
The beauty the eye cannot measure. If you ask most people what makes something beautiful, the answers are surprisingly predictable. Perfect symmetry, bright colors, smooth surfaces, flawless design. For centuries, entire civilizations chased this idea. The more perfect an object appeared, the more beautiful it was believed to be. Tanizaki quietly disagreed. He noticed something that seemed almost impossible to explain. Some of the most beautiful objects in Japan looked almost invisible. A black lacquer bowl resting in a dimly lit room. A bronze incense burner whose details only appeared as the light slowly changed. Gold leaf glowing softly beneath candlelight. Aged wood that had darkened over decades. None of these objects demanded attention. They invited it. Their beauty was not immediate. It unfolded slowly. The observer had to participate, to wait, to look again, to allow the eyes to adjust. Tanizaki believed this waiting was not a weakness, it was part of the experience itself, because beauty discovered slowly often remains longer than beauty consumed instantly. Today, scientists studying perception have uncovered something remarkably similar. Our visual system is designed to notice contrast, not constant stimulation. When everything is equally bright, equally colorful, and equally sharp, the brain quickly adapts. Psychologists call this sensory adaptation. The extraordinary becomes ordinary. What once amazed us soon becomes invisible. This is one reason advertisements grow larger every year. Screens become brighter, images become more saturated. The brain keeps adapting, forcing the next image to become even louder. Yet shadows interrupt this cycle. They create uncertainty. They leave part of the scene unfinished. And because the brain cannot immediately resolve what it sees, attention lingers a little longer. Mystery quietly holds the gaze. Perhaps this is why an old oil painting viewed in soft light often feels more alive than the same painting displayed beneath harsh white LEDs. Not because the painting has changed, but because our relationship with it has. The eyes stop collecting information and begin searching for meaning. Tanizaki understood that true beauty rarely announces itself. It waits patiently, like moonlight reflected on dark water, like the faint glow inside an old temple, like a memory that returns years later, not because it was the brightest moment of our lives, but because it left something beautifully unfinished. Perhaps the most unforgettable things are not those we see most clearly. They are the ones our hearts quietly complete for themselves.
The sound of shadows. There is something curious about silence. Most people think silence is simply the absence of sound. But in traditional Japan, silence was never empty. It was filled with the smallest voices the modern world rarely hears. The quiet crackle of charcoal beneath an iron kettle. rain striking the edge of a wooden roof, bamboo moving gently in the wind, the soft sound of a sliding paper door, the echo of footsteps across old timber floors. These sounds were never considered interruptions. They were part of the experience itself. Tanizaki believed beauty did not belong only to the eyes. It belonged to the atmosphere surrounding a moment. A room was beautiful not because it looked impressive, but because every sense seemed to belong to the same quiet world. Today, scientists studying the human brain have discovered that our relationship with sound is far more emotional than we often realize. Long before the conscious mind understands a place, the nervous system has already begun listening to it. Researchers call this the soundscape effect. Natural sounds, flowing water, birdsong, gentle wind have repeatedly been shown to reduce physiological markers of stress. Heart rate slows, breathing becomes deeper, attention begins to recover, not because the brain stops working, but because it no longer has to defend itself against constant interruption. The opposite is also true. A world filled with endless mechanical noise, traffic, alarms, notifications, ventilation systems, televisions, creates a subtle background of cognitive effort. The brain never truly rests. It simply learns to ignore, or at least it believes it does. Perhaps this explains why walking into an ancient temple often feels strangely different. The silence is not empty, it is textured. Every small sound suddenly matters. The creak of wood, the distant bell, the rustle of clothing. For a moment, attention returns to things that were always there. Tanizaki understood that shadows do something remarkable. They soften vision, and when vision becomes quieter, the other senses begin speaking more clearly. Perhaps that is why some of our oldest memories are never purely visual. We remember the sound of rain against our childhood window, the kettle whistling in a grandparent's kitchen, the floorboards that announced someone was coming home. Memory does not preserve only what we saw, it preserves the atmosphere we lived inside. And perhaps the modern world has not become overwhelming only because it became too bright. Perhaps it also became too loud to hear the quieter parts of being alive. When the night disappeared. For almost all of human history, nightfall changed everything. Villages became quieter, work came to an end, the sky slowly filled with stars. People gathered around small pools of light, accepting that much of the world would remain hidden until morning. Darkness was not an inconvenience, it was part of life's rhythm. Then, in less than 2 centuries, humanity achieved something extraordinary. We conquered the night. Today, satellites looking down at Earth can see entire continents glowing after midnight. There are cities where children grow up without ever seeing the Milky Way. Office buildings remain illuminated long after everyone has gone home. Bedrooms glow softly from chargers, televisions, and phones that never truly fall asleep. What once belonged to the stars now belongs to electricity. Few inventions have improved human life more than artificial light. It has made surgery safer, travel easier, education more accessible, entire civilizations more productive. Tanizaki never denied any of this. His concern was quieter. He wondered what happens when light stops serving life and life begins serving light. Modern chronobiology has begun asking a remarkably similar question. Deep inside the brain lies a tiny structure known as the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the body's internal clock. Every morning, light tells it that a new day has begun. Every evening, darkness signals that it is time to prepare for rest. This daily rhythm influences far more than sleep. It shapes memory, immune function, metabolism, emotional regulation, and even the way we perceive time itself. When darkness becomes rare, the brain receives fewer opportunities to complete this ancient cycle. The result is not simply tiredness. It is a subtle feeling that the day never truly ends. Perhaps this explains why so many people describe modern life as endlessly busy, even when they have finished working. The body has returned home. The mind is still standing beneath artificial daylight. Tanizaki believed darkness was never the enemy of civilization. It was civilization's companion. It reminded people that every day had a natural ending, that activity could become stillness, that brightness could give way to reflection. Perhaps this is why moonlight has inspired poets for thousands of years, while fluorescent lights rarely inspire anyone. One illuminates the world, the other allows us to quietly wonder about it. And maybe the greatest loss of endless brightness was never the disappearance of darkness itself. It was the disappearance of everything that darkness once invited us to feel.
The places that remember us. There is a reason why people sometimes return to an old house and suddenly begin to cry. The walls have not spoken. The furniture has not moved. Nothing extraordinary has happened. And yet, the moment they step inside, years seem to disappear. A smell, a beam of afternoon light, the sound of an old wooden staircase. Somehow, the place remembers them. Tanizaki believed buildings were never just structures. They were containers for memory. A shadow falling across a tatami floor was not merely an effect of sunlight. It was part of the emotional life of the house itself. The wood slowly darkened over decades. Paper screens softened with age. The smell of cedar quietly settled into every room. Nothing remained frozen. The house grew older alongside the people living inside it. Today, neuroscience offers a fascinating explanation for why certain places affect us so deeply. Our memories are rarely stored as isolated facts. Instead, the brain binds together sights, sounds, smells, textures, and emotions into a single experience. Scientists sometimes call this context-dependent memory. It means that returning to a familiar environment can reactivate emotions that seemed forgotten for years. This is why the scent of old books can instantly transport someone back to childhood, why hearing rain against a tin roof can awaken memories long thought lost, why walking through an abandoned family home can feel less like entering a building and more like stepping into another version of yourself. Perhaps memory does not live only inside the brain. Perhaps it also lives inside places.
Modern architecture often celebrates permanence, materials that never age, surfaces that never stain, walls that never change. But Tanizaki wondered whether something important disappears when nothing is allowed to grow old. Because every scratch, every faded floorboard, every softened wooden beam quietly records the passage of human life. They are not imperfections, they are evidence that someone laughed here, someone waited here, someone loved here. Perhaps this is why ancient temples feel different from newly built museums. One displays history, the other has lived through it. And maybe that is what shadows protect better than light. They allow time itself to remain gently visible. Because the most beautiful places are not always the ones that look untouched. They are often the ones that still remember the people who once called them home.
What shadows teach us about ourselves? By the time Jun'ichirō Tanizaki reached the final pages of In Praise of Shadows, he was no longer writing about architecture or lighting or Japanese homes. He was writing about something much more difficult to protect, the human experience itself. Because every civilization eventually faces the same temptation to remove uncertainty, to remove silence, to remove darkness, to make everything faster, clearer, brighter, more efficient. And in many ways, we have succeeded. Never before has humanity possessed so much control over its surroundings. Yet perhaps the deeper question is not what have we gained, but what have we stopped feeling? Modern psychology has uncovered an idea known as the hedonic adaptation. It describes the remarkable ability of the human brain to become accustomed to almost anything: a larger home, a brighter screen, a more expensive car, a faster phone. For a brief moment, each new improvement feels extraordinary. Then it quietly becomes normal. The brain recalibrates and immediately begins searching for the next improvement. Brightness becomes ordinary, speed becomes ordinary, comfort becomes ordinary. The cycle continues. Perhaps this is why so many people feel surrounded by abundance, yet strangely untouched by it. Tanizaki believed shadows interrupted this endless pursuit, because shadows slow perception. They refuse instant consumption. They ask us to wait, to adjust, to notice. And in waiting, the ordinary begins recovering its ability to surprise us. Perhaps wonder has never disappeared from the world. Perhaps only our attention has. Think about the last time you watched sunlight slowly move across the floor of a quiet room, or noticed dust floating through a single beam of afternoon light, or sat beside someone without feeling the need to fill every silence with words. Those moments rarely change the world, yet they often change us, not dramatically, not all at once, but quietly, almost invisibly, like shadows themselves. Perhaps that is why this little book has continued speaking across nearly a century. It reminds us that beauty is not always hidden in extraordinary places. Sometimes it has simply been waiting inside the parts of life we learned to overlook. And perhaps the brightest future humanity could build is not one that completely erases the shadows, but one that remembers why they mattered in the first place. Final reflection. Perhaps The greatest tragedy of the modern world is not that we have become surrounded by too much light. It is that we have slowly forgotten why darkness once mattered. Jun'ichirō Tanizaki never asked humanity to abandon electricity. He never wished for a return to the past. He simply hoped we would not lose something ancient while chasing something new. Because every civilization makes choices, not only about technology, but about the kind of people it quietly teaches us to become. A world that never grows silent slowly forgets how to listen. A world that never grows dark slowly forgets how to wonder. Perhaps this is why so many of our most meaningful experiences refuse to happen beneath perfect illumination. We whisper in churches. We lower the lights before a concert begins. We watch sunsets instead of the midday sun. We light candles when saying goodbye to someone we love. Instinctively, we still understand something our ancestors never had to explain. Not everything beautiful wishes to be fully seen. Modern neuroscience tells us that the brain is constantly searching for efficiency. It predicts, it simplifies, it filters. Without realizing it, we begin living the same way. We rush through familiar streets. We stop noticing the evening sky. We no longer hear the rain. We pass through our own lives as though they were already memories. Perhaps shadows interrupt that habit. They slow the eyes. They soften certainty. They invite curiosity back into ordinary moments. And maybe that is why this small Japanese essay has survived for nearly a century. Not because it teaches us how to decorate a room, but because it quietly reminds us that the richest parts of life are often impossible to measure. The warmth of old wood beneath your hand, the silence shared between two people who no longer need to speak, the glow of a lantern reflected on polished lacquer, the moon hidden behind moving clouds, the sound of rain in a house that remembers your name. Before we leave, there is only one question worth carrying with us. If every shadow in your life suddenly disappeared, what quiet beauty would vanish with it? Perhaps the purpose of light was never to erase the darkness. Perhaps it was simply to help us see how beautiful the shadows had always been. Thank you for joining us on Bookbyte. Until our next journey, may you never become so busy searching for brightness that you forget to notice the quiet beauty waiting in the shadows.